Hi guys, another video for you here today, and this time we're going to be taking a look at this, the Rayzr 7. Now this is a 5600 Kelvin LED Fresnel. I brought this with my own money, and I am a little bit late to the game with this review because the light came out in I think 2017, but I still think it's a really viable option in 2020. So first up, what do you actually get when you purchase the light? It all comes packaged in a rigid soft case, which protects the light, and it's really easy and useful for carrying the light around. But in the package you get obviously the lamp head itself with some removable barn doors, you get a locking 13 amp mains cable, and then some 45cm softbox with a sheet of diffusion. So it's a very basic kit, but it gives you everything you need to actually get the light up and running and to have some sort of diffusion with it. There are a few different models of this light available. I have the 5600 300 watt daylight balance version. There's a bicolour 300 watt as well as a daylight and bicolour 200 watt version. Rayzr also make a V-mount power adapter so you can run the light off batteries, which is really useful, but unfortunately I don't have one of those to show you. So let's talk Photometrics. It's a 300 watt LED. And it has a TLCI of 98, which is really high, so you're going to get really good colour accuracy from this light. Now I've got some more in-depth notes about the Photometrics here, so do bear with me. So at 100% output at 3 meters on the full flood setting on the Fresnel, you're going to get a lux reading of 2565. Now at 3 meters away on full spot, you're going to get the much higher reading of 10,675 lux. Just to give you an idea in lux of how much light this light actually kicks out. Now about the Fresnel, the lens itself, you can focus it down from 55 to 18 degrees, so you've got a nice degree of adjustment for being able to spot or focus the light. So on the side of the light itself, you've got a little LCD screen which actually shows you your output percentage, but it actually works really well because it gives you a really gradual dimming curve. So you've got a nice steady curve down that gives you a lot of control over output. Now onto the form factor and build quality. The Rayzr 7 looks a bit more like a traditional Fresnel compared to something like an Aputure 300D with Fresnel attachment, and build quality wise it's pretty much completely aluminium. There's a couple of plastic bits on it, but the barn doors, the body, the actual frame for mounting the light to the stand, all of that is really hard wearing solid aluminium. The dimming controls as well as the focus controls for the Fresnel and the 2 locking knobs for the frame of the light are all made out of plastic, but they do feel really solid. I'm not the biggest fan of the locking wheel design, they just feel a little bit too small and fiddly. It'd be better to have something like the design on the 300D Mark II. Those just feel easier to grip and tighten down, but aside from that the build quality of this light is fantastic. In terms of mounting the light itself, you'd need to use a relatively heavy duty stand like this Manfrotto Junior, because this light weighs 6.4 kilograms, which is double the weight of the 300D. As I said, form factor wise it's more comparable to a traditional tungsten Fresnel, except as I said it's an LED, so it's not going to kick out the same amount of heat as a tungsten fixture, but it's going to give you a very similar output to something like an old 2K, which is really pretty bright for this size unit. I'd say the main competition for the Rayzr 7 is actually the Aputure 300D, although there are a lot of differences between the two lights. For instance, you've got the form factor, which is the very obvious one. There's how the lights function in terms of control units. With the Rayzr, the control unit is built into the lamp head, whereas with the 300D you've got that separate control box. So with the 300D you'd have to run 2 cables, one to connect the control box to mains or a battery, and then the other one to connect the control box to the head. But with the Rayzr, all you have to do is run that single cable and you're good to go. I'd say the Aputure 300D has the edge in terms of versatility because of its Bowens mount. You can really quickly and easily fit different accessories and modifiers to it, whereas with the Rayzr you're kind of limited to the barn doors or the included softbox. But I'd argue different use cases for both the lights. The Rayzr has an edge in terms of brightness because of its Fresnel, which I'll touch on in a little bit, whereas the 300D is better for like a space light or a light mounted softbox, and moving it around as one unit, whereas this is better for larger frames, for perhaps bigger setups. The Fresnel for the 300D is 6 inches in diameter, whereas the Rayzr comes with a 7-inch Fresnel. But Rayzr themselves claim that this 7-inch Fresnel is actually more comparable to the brightness of that of a 10-inch. So they've done a really good job of cramming that much output into a smaller package. And I'd say that the main reason to buy this light over the 300D would be the added brightness from the larger Fresnel. I use this light all the time between this and my RX18 from FalconEyes, which I recently reviewed. So if you've not seen that, there's a link down in the description for that. But between those two lights, I'm pretty covered for a lot of the things I do. Here's a couple of examples from a documentary that I shot last year using the Rayzr 7 in a booklight configuration. As you can see, it just gives you this beautifully soft light that has a really gradual, nice fall off. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope that was useful. The Rayzr 7 is really a fantastic option if you're looking for an LED with a really, really high light output. But yeah, I can't recommend it enough. If you get the chance to pick one up for yourself, go for it. I use this light all the time. But as I said, that's it for this video. I'll catch you in the next one, guys.